Panels, we live in an era where corruption itself is already at a very alarming rate. Many people who have done corruption essentially could get away from doing their crime. While yes, they still have to go to jail and pay their fine. However, they can still maintain their previously luxury lifestyle in jail. Why? Because they still have the money to bribe all these officers. And therefore, we believe that by impoverishing corruptors, it will be a way to solve this problem. Now, panels, we as the closing government team would only want justice, and justice only for the people who deserve it. Now, how would we put the justice, how would we make it happen? Well, first of all, we would still implement the current punishment that should apply to the corruptors itself, meaning they should still pay the fine, they should pay back the amount that they've stole before, and they should still be doing time in jail. But this time, it will be still controlled, and public need to be able to make sure that they do not have the luxury lifestyle in jail as many of the corruptors have right now. And then, what we would add to it is that we would create a law that would make all of their assets to be taken and given back to the government, so that that they would stand under the poverty line, meaning we would take all of their assets, everything. And we would like to also create an institution that will do research on their assets to make sure that, that they're not keeping their assets under a different name, or they're not keeping it under their children's name. And then we would then use that money to build facilities and reconstruct facilities, especially for those that are affected by the corruption that they did. Now, before I would like to move to my argument, I would like to rebut the arguments of the opening opposition. They have clearly undermined the impact of corruption. We know that corruption itself affected thousands, if not millions of people, especially people who are living in the poverty line, and those who are especially needed the money, the aids that the government were going to give to them. But this corruption have heartlessly taken what is supposed to be the rights of these people. And therefore, we as the closing government team could not sympathize with them the way the opening opposition team have did. And they have mentioned that, the punishment that we were giving these corruptors is so bad and that it's not fair for them. Well, we say that those arguments are very selfish, and we simply cannot stand with that. We believe that since we agree that this punishment is very severe and it have very big impact on their life, because of that, we would like to implement this punishment. Because, when you take the corruptors' money, their assets, their everything, and make them live under the poverty line, they can finally experience the life of the people that they have taken the rights of. And well, they may think that it's not fair, that it also would affect their children, their wife, the people around them. I would like to ask you, what about the poor people that they've taken from? The money that's supposed to go to the poor people, the aids that's supposed to go to them, it will also go to their wives, their husbands, their children. It also affect their family. So why should we exempt these corruptors from facing the same things? We believe that there should not be any exemption, and we believe that this is a very fair punishment for them. Now, they have also mentioned that they want to build a rehabilitating facilities for this corruptor instead of putting them, giving them this impoverishment punishment. However, they do not really explain what is the mechanism that goes in there. Are they just going to teach this corruptors that corruption is bad, stealing from others is bad? We believe that that would not be effective, as we have already learned that 12 years in our school time, and guess what? They still do it. So what would make them think that it would be effective now? They've also said that at the end of the day, because these corruptors will be living on government aid, the government would still ended up giving money to them. Well, we believe that it's okay. If the government give them money, it would not be the equal amount that the government are able to take from their fortune after impoverishing this corruptor. And so we believe that it is a very fair punishment, and we would like to applicate it. Now, moving on to my argument, I would like to give an example on the effect of impoverishing someone versus not impoverishing someone. We all know the case of Doni Salmanan. Yes, we know it's not a real case of corruption. However, the government have impoverished him, meaning we have confiscated all of his assets. Well, I would like to compare that to a Setia Novanto case, which is a corruption case in which his wealth is not confiscated. Yes, he go to jail. Yes, he pay the fine, but there's nothing else. And he was still able to live a luxurious lifestyle because he still have the money, to bribe the officer. As opposed to the Doni Salmanan case, where he no longer have, a large sums of money, and he can no longer bribe the police, and he will face the punishment just as any other people who did that crime. And so another thing that would be different is that Doni Salmanan case, since they confiscated a lot of his money, it brings more attention to the public, and so the public knows about the crime that he did, and public knows the consequences of his action is very, very big and very massive, and that they would rethink 1,000 times before actually repeating his crime. In this case, the embarrassment that comes with it is very, very unmatched. And therefore, if there's someone who actually have a thing that they want to do corruption or whatever, they will rethink the consequences, since it is so massive and it affected their life so much. So we believe that. And moving on to my second argument, that people do corruption for money. So if one of our punishment from it is to take the money, not only the money that they take from the corruption itself, but the money that they have previously owned itself, it will make them rethink 1,000 times. The consequences is big enough to the point that, hey, maybe this is not a very good idea, and therefore they will rethink before actually doing corruption. And at the end of the day, it will prevent many, many future corruption case. And therefore, with that, we believe that the motion shall stand. Thank you.